Hello, hello, and hello, Twitter land, Facebook land, Reddit, LinkedIn. We'll post this sucker all over the place. So my guy, Search for Yield, AVAX Chikn, asked me to do a video on my foraging spreadsheet, the cost estimator for the foraging and crafting. And this is, of course, on Chikn. The Chikn, the NFT, upgradable NFT project that's over on Avalanche. If you don't know about it, you should. It's a great project. But the project is in different phases, and the current phase that it's in is it's all about foraging. It's all about using our chicken and our rooster to forage, to find resources on our farmland so that we can then craft those resources into NFTs. And these NFTs that we're crafting can be used for us to make our farmlands more effective, efficient, and also to provide additional traits for our chicken and our rooster that maybe they don't currently have, which would allow them to then be more effective and efficient when they go out to forage in our farmlands. So this is a very important phase of the game of chicken that I think most people don't realize, simply because the developers have stated that everything is going to go through foraging. So our ultimate endpoint for some people is cockfighting and things of that nature. Well, our roosters, our chicken, are going to probably need some upgradable traits or the ability to go out on the farmland and find some more of certain resources in order to be able to get those traits. And so foraging is very important. It is critical that we should be foraging because we've got to have those resources. A combination or a recipe of those resources are currently being used in the blueprints. And that's what I'm going to go through today. But there's going to be more blueprints that are going to be dropped. Some of those blueprints will be for a number of different utility purposes in the game of chicken. And so it's imperative that we're foraging and finding these resources. And so it became important to me to understand, at least at a fundamental level, and of course there's a number of assumptions that may or may not be accounted for, but at a fundamental level, what is it costing me to forage? And so I wanted to have at least an idea of what it was costing me to forage, and then what it was costing me to craft the items that the blueprints have provided in terms of a recipe or ingredients, if you will, to craft that NFT. Why? Because I want to make sure I at least understand my basis cost, again, at a base level of what it's costing me. Even if it's estimated, at least gives me an idea so that when I go to try to sell these crafted items on the marketplace, I'm not undercutting myself from a cost perspective. So this is kind of a COGS, a cost of goods sold, or a cost accounting approach. I always joke, I went to DeVry in my first accounting class. I did okay, and then I went to accounting 2 and I failed it. And it was cost accounting. And I failed it primarily because I probably wasn't going to class enough or doing my homework, but I aced it the next time. So I understand the importance of cost accounting, of cost of goods sold, and the importance of accounting for costs when you go to sell a product or a service. You got to have your aggregate and total costs to make sure that you are selling it at a profit. So I built this spreadsheet, and it's nothing fancy, but it's just my idea of trying to account for the cost associated with the activities of foraging for my chicken and rooster. And then when I build or craft these items, what it will cost for me to mint that NFT. So the spreadsheet here, let me change my screen and I will minimize me and move myself out of the way so I can go through the spreadsheet with you. So my guy, Search for Yield, eggburn.xyz, excellent website, asked if I could do a video and just kind of breaking this down and explaining it. So top left, this area over here, I'm going to talk a little bit about this, and I'm going to try to go through this, more at an intermediate level. So if it's too slow, my apologies. But I start with the foraging costs, what it costs for me to forage. And so obviously, if I use a rooster, it's going to cost me 60 fert a day. And I have a full farmland, so that's 24 roosters. So I figured 1,440 fert per day. And what the cost of fert is, and this depends on the day, of course. So I did this spreadsheet on 12/28. So the cost of fert has probably gone down a little bit, okay? So keep that in mind. But basically, it's costing me $6.91 in order to forage for 24 roosters each time I send them out to forage, okay? 691. So I take that 691 and I divide that by my 24 roosters, and that gives me an average cost of 4 cents to forage. So it's costing me about 4 cents to forage. Okay. So when I get those resources, I need a silo, right? So if I go to the foraging section of the farmland, my resources I got to store them, right, until I craft them and use them up. So I estimated about 150 items per each time that I forage. 150 items per each time that I forage. And each day, if I do that each day, I'm going to need to keep expanding my silo by 150 capacity. Well, 150 capacity is going to cost me 50 eggs or 10 eggs per 50 resources that I'm trying to store. So 30 eggs will get me an additional 150 of storage in my silo from a capacity standpoint. So what I tried to do again is I tried to take that and I tried to get that at a cost level. So at a per item level, and these are per item level, by the way. I think I may have misspoken when I said earlier. So this is 4 cents per item, per resource that I'm collecting. This is 0.0189, so a little over a penny per resource that I'm collecting. And what are the resources that I'm collecting? I'm using this number here, 150 a day, okay? And I've tracked my foraging. This number is just what I found to be an average number. There's some days I have more than that. There's some days I have less than that. But on average, it's been about 150 resources per time that my roosters go out and forage. And that number obviously will continue to become more, increase as my foraging time goes down, as I have either bigger rooster or I deploy more worm in my worm farm. I can drive that number to where I want it to be, to where I'm getting more resources, per day. But each time I send them out to forage, they're giving me about 150 resources per trip. Okay. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at this cost of $6.91 divided by 150 resources to come up with 0.0461. All right. That's my cost per item that comes back from the forage. Same thing with the silo cost, my storage costs. Those 30 eggs cost me $2.83. I take that $2.83 divided by 150 resources. I come up with 0.0189 per resource that comes back. So I combine those two to come up with about 6 cents, a little over 6.5, a little under 6.5 cents, 0.0649. So that's my total combined cost to forage. All right. So if they come back with 150 resources, it's costing me about 6 cents per resource to forage. Okay. You can see here I've got some assumptions. Each rooster has averaged between 6.25 and 8 resources collected per day since I started foraging. So if I send out 24 roosters, each of them have come back between 6.25 and 8 resources per trip. So I'm using 6.25 resources collected per rooster as my average to come up with this 150 a day. So what is that 150 a day based on? It's based on each rooster coming back with an average of 6.25 resources per trip. Okay. I'm using 24 roosters and only foraging once per day. So now my worm farm is big enough to where I'm actually able to forage twice a day. So I'm actually able to pull in at least 300 resources a day. because my worm farm has made my foraging more efficient. And that's how you make your foraging more efficient. Bigger roosters, bigger chicken, or uh, deploy worm. Deploy worm, that cuts your foraging time down quite a bit. So this is how I come up with the assumptions of 6.49 cents or 0.0649 cents per resource per trip. And now, if you have chicken, so you can change this. Instead of it being 1440, right, which is 60 for today times 24 roosters, you could go with 24 chicken. All right. So if you did 24 chicken, it's 6 eggs per chicken to forage. So it would cost, it would be 144 eggs a day. All right. And so you could change this to 144 eggs a day. And then if you come over to the calculation, you can see X15 is where that number is hidden, right? X15. So you could just go to the X15 column, which is over here, X15. Okay. See that? X15 is showing on the 28th, it was 0.0048 for the cost of egg. But you just change to what the price is today and come back over here and change this to 144. And that'll tell you what the cost is if you want to forage with 24 chicken instead of 24 rooster. And if you want to do a blend of it, then the spreadsheet is accessible to where you can open it up and you can change it, add in another column or whatever the case may be to account for a mixture. But again, I'm just using this tool because it's I'm using all rooster, so I did it based on our rooster. But you can adjust it is what I'm saying. So this is the cost of forage, how I came up with the cost per resource. And it's important that I go over this because now I'm going to get into talking about what the recipes are calling for. So each of the blueprints, these are all blueprints: retro arcade, pacer deposit, rubble, log cabin, wolframite ore, right? These are all the blueprints. And there's some that are out there. Like someone sent me another one recently. And so there's others that are out there. And as I get them, I'll go in and update my spreadsheet. But again, the purpose is just kind of show you how I came up with this. So each of these blueprints has a requirement for certain resources in order to craft an NFT. And so what I wanted to know, I wanted to have an understanding is if I wanted to do a retro arcade, right? This is a retro arcade right here, right? So let me, let's change that to say, that's not good. Let's change it back to black. Let's come over here and do this. Okay. So this is the retro arcade. So if I wanted to craft a retro arcade blueprint item, it's going to cost me 50 stone, 80 mech, 6 tungsten, 12 gold, 40 eggs, 80 fur, and 500 worm. So what I did in the spreadsheet, if you come down here below, is I assigned a cost to accomplish that, all right? So what stone, 50 stone is going to cost me $3.25, okay? 50 stone is going to cost me $3.25. So look here, this one here, okay? How did I come up with $3.25? I went and I took this 50 stone, right? And I assigned a cost to that 50 stone, okay? 50 stone is going to cost me, my cost per unit is 6.49 cents, so 0.0649 times 50 gives me $3.25 worth of stone that it's going to cost me to craft that item. And I did the same thing with mech. Okay. I did the same thing with tungsten. And I did the same thing with gold. Okay. So you can see these costs associated with crafting a retro arcade crafted item. And I just simply assigned the cost per resource with how many resources that required, and then I put a cost on it. Same thing with egg. So you need egg, right? You need egg, you need fert, and you need worm. So egg, I need $3.77 worth of egg. I need 80 fert. And again, this is based on December 28th cost of fert. I needed 38 cents worth of fert. And for worm, I need $1.95 worth of worm. 500 worm times the cost of worm, right? And that's what these boxes here are. These boxes are the cost of egg, the cost of fert, the cost of worm. Okay. And I multiplied these costs for each of those egg, fert, and worm times the number required to craft it. And that's how I came up with $3.77, 38 cents, and $1.95. Okay. So that's Retro Arcade. You can see there's cost associated with all of the different blueprints. Okay. And like if you look at stone, for example, you can see stone is required pretty much in every blueprint to craft that item. Mech is close. Okay. Mech is close. Mech's required quite a bit as well, with the exception of a Vaxium seam. Okay. Lumber, if you look at lumber, it costs $31.17 for watering hole and log cabin to craft. It is the third most expensive one across all the blueprints. And it's because of the quantity. Like you need quite a bit of lumber. And we haven't seen the veg utility yet. So I'm sure veg is going to change the dynamic a bit when they start dropping the utility for veg. But this is the cost estimator by blueprint to craft these items. So you come over here to the spreadsheet again and look at this column in red. Now, this is where I total up all of these on this line, and it's going to cost me $15.72. $15.72. You see, I just put it in yellow in order to craft in USD. That's USD. Okay. This is, I'm converting this $15.72 to AVAX, to the price of AVAX, right? And at the time it was 1.4 AVAX, and that was based on the price of $11.20. Now, AVAX is like 17 bucks. So let's update this real quick. So AVAX is 72 or 17 bucks. So now we're getting close to 0.92 AVAX. See the difference? When AVAX was 11.20, it was costing me 1.4 AVAX. The value of AVAX is now increased to about 17 bucks. Now it's a little under 1 AVAX is what it will cost for me to craft a retro arcade. Okay, so moving along to the next box. So the next box over here is price bumps, and it's over here. I'm over here just so you follow me. Price bumps due to labor or rarity. So it costs me some time. My time is not free. My time is expensive, as my buddy used to say. It's expensive. So let's just say I'm going to charge 1 AVAX for my time to craft this resource. So I add 1 AVAX. If you say your time is more expensive, say you want to do 5 AVAX for your time, then you just change that to 5. Okay. And the rarity. So retro arcade, like say you value it as a very rare item. So you may say, I put 2, you might say, nah, I think that's a 6 rarity. And so now you've got your cost to create that 1572 or 0.92 AVAX. You've added 5 AVAX for your labor. You've added 6 AVAX for your rarity, how much you think that is from a rarity perspective. So over here now we have a total cost, AVAX, a break-even cost of 11.92 AVAX, right? 11.92. So essentially you've got your labor at 5 plus your rarity at 6 plus your cost to produce that in AVAX at 0.92. So 11.92 is your break-even point at a minimum where you want to be selling to where you're covering your hypothetical labor cost, rarity valuation, plus your production cost of $15.72, 11.92 AVAX. That equates to about $202, and it shows you what your return on your investment is, 1,290%. It's just simply looking at what your total price is divided by what it cost you to craft that item. You'd have an ROI of 1,290%. Okay, so that's the spreadsheet showing you a breakdown of how I came up with my cost per item for foraging, how I came up with my cost per item for blueprint crafting, and I added some tweaks to it for labor and rarity, and came up with a price that maybe I might go to market with, or maybe a price I might look to buy with as well, knowing what it cost for me to craft it, to forage and craft it. I might use that as a sniping tool as well. Markets under or over. Last thing is just some observations. So log cabin blueprint is the most expensive to craft. And that's simply because of the quantity of lumber that's required. But if you look at log cabin here, you can see that the log cabin cost $31.08. I'll turn that yellow. Log cabin costs $31.08. It is the most expensive blueprint to craft. It is also, at one point in time, the most sought, or actually the most easily found blueprint on the marketplace. But if you listen to Duke Animal Charts, Duke has a speculation that lumber in log cabin is going to be very important. Well, we can see here from a cost perspective, it's the most expensive item to craft from a blueprint perspective. Stone resource requires the highest cost to craft all resources, but lumber is the highest average blueprint cost. The average potential ROI on crafting, minting, and selling NFTs, right? If you look down here, you can see what the overall average is, depending on how you value it from a labor and a rarity perspective. The most profitable NFT to craft and sell is possibly stone, right? So stone rubble is $14 is what it costs to forage and craft that item. $14.39. It is potentially the most profitable to craft and sell is stone. Why do I say that? Because it's the cheapest to actually forage and craft, but it is also the most expensive. And here's the intersection right here. It is the most expensive overall blueprints. If you wanted to craft one of each of these items from these blueprints, you're going to need $52.93 worth of stone. Yet, once you have crafted that item, it is the cheapest blueprint to craft. That smells of opportunity to me. When I look at the need, the requirement for stone across all these blueprints, and I look at what it costs for me to craft an item for stone, $14 versus $52, that's an opportunity. Labor and rarity assumptions, I just used whatever I value my time at and how I value the rarity of it. You can adjust that number and change it as you need to. But that is just an assumption that I came up with. So this is the spreadsheet that I wanted to go over. This is actually in the strategy session of Discord for Chikn. The spreadsheet is in there. If you're interested and you can't get in there for some reason, can't find it, just DM me on Twitter. I'll help you find it. But this is the spreadsheet that's in the strategy session of the Chikn Discord. And it's a breakdown to show you what it cost me to forage and what my potential return on my investment can be, depending on my markup, depending on what it costs to craft that item, depending on the rarity, and depending on the opportunity. Like, this is a huge opportunity. Lumber is a huge opportunity. So let me know what questions you guys have. You can find me on Twitter for Home Loan. You can find me on Facebook, Stephen Fennell, Home Loan Expert. You can find me on Reddit. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm easily found. You can go with steve.com and find me. You can go off marketwithsteve.com. I'm easy to find. So if you got questions, let me know. I appreciate you guys taking some time to look at it. But foraging, I think, is huge. I think it is an opportunity to understand that the game changes. And as the game changes, it's imperative that we understand it changes for a reason. We're adding new elements into the game. And this is a huge opportunity. I see this as a huge step in the game, because this is leading us towards some of the other elements to be released. Right, cockfighting. At some point in time, maybe we're going to be able to rent out our farmland. So, taking these resources that we're crafting and then equipping them to our farmland to give our farmland greater potential, greater capability is very important. I'm going to try to share my Chikn screen with you. So bear with me for a second, because I think it's important to be foraging and crafting and the opportunity. You already saw what it cost in some of those numbers, but I just think that we have to understand the opportunity here. So let me get to my Chikn screen. All right, so here's my Chikn screen. So my guys are out foraging right now, right? And you can see I've upgraded the ability for them to come back with some of these things. This is one that I've got them out foraging on this farmland because I need some more Vaxium. I want to craft some items with a Vaxium. So if we go over to the crafting section of the foraging, click on equips, we can look and see what these recipes look like, right? So ruble, right, which is stone. You got to have, a Vaxium, right, to create that stone. You got to have some tungsten. So it's important because, like, these blueprints, these items that we're crafting, and you can see I've crafted some equipables. I've crafted a couple of these so I can put them on my farmland. I don't have a Vaxium, I don't have tungsten, right? I got a couple of farmland. So I need a Vaxium, I need tungsten, I need gold, right? I don't have these. So a couple of these I've crafted specifically so that I can attach those to my farmland and to swap out those green spaces with those crafted items, so I can now forage for those. And foraging is a game changer, right? It's a level playing field. As you can see, all this green space, I can turn this into a Vaxium, tungsten, or dark matter, right? This is a pretty good farmland. It's got a lot of edge. It's got 2 mech, 2 liquidium. It's got some things that are out there, and I get to fill in the missing pieces with these items that I'm crafting. And once I equip my farmland for all the things that I need and want, now I can turn around and sell the rest of those excess crafted items. I can sell the rest of them, and I can find an opportunity to reinvest into the ecosystem, maybe build up on my LP, maybe build up on my multiplier, maybe buy more chicken, more rooster. So, but foraging and crafting are game changers in that it takes this farmland, which didn't have all the things I needed, and gives me the ability to get what I need. A vaxium, log cabin, right? So these are all the things I need. Gold, right? Well, I've now crafted a couple of these gold NFTs. I'll equip those to my farmland, and then I'll sell the rest, right? I'll sell the rest. And I already know, I have an idea of what I need to sell these for at a minimum in order to make money, cover my costs, and still make the profit that maybe I'm targeting. So crafting is very important, because the next phase of the game is going to require the utilization of these items to make things easier, more efficient, more effective, or to access other things in the game. And so you got to be foraging. You got to be foraging. Those that are foraging, that are crafting these items, I think those of us earlier are going to benefit significantly, because it's the buy versus build. You can build for a lot cheaper, you can buy for a lot more. So if you don't have these particular resources on your farmland, you're going to have to either forage, or you're going to have to go to the marketplace and buy them. And I'm going to be more than happy to sell them to you, as is everybody else who's out there foraging and crafting right now. But that's not financial advice. But I think the potential in the marketplace, once these come about, is going to be significant and an enormous opportunity. So anyway, I wanted to end and share this with you. I wanted to talk a little bit about foraging, crafting, and the importance of it, and the simplicity of it. It's not difficult. Really isn't difficult at all. If you have a farmland and you got one or two rooster or chicken, you send them out there, and they're going to come back with some resources. And most of us have blueprints. If you don't have a blueprint, you go to the marketplace and you get a blueprint. There's a blueprint right now you can get for 1.7 AVAX of placer deposit, which will turn you into gold, of retro, which will get you to mech, right? Of vaxium. Right. This is the marketplace has blueprints. If you don't have any, if you didn't have any in your WormFarm, if you didn't dig down, you can get log cabins for 1.75, retro for 1.99, right? You can get these. These are here. They're out on the marketplace right now. So I should go through and sweep all of these, and then I can start cornering the market on blueprints. Just joking. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys and let you know that foraging is the next frontier. And I'm excited about foraging and crafting, and can't wait to be able to start listing these items on the marketplace and getting that ROI, and also getting the ability to make my farmland more fertile and fruit-wise. Now, those crafted items, they will wear out after a while, and then I'll get to sell them again on the marketplace maybe, or I can decompose them for some of the resources that I need or want. So I can craft something new, or maybe just craft another one. So anyway, guys, thanks. I'm going to shut down the video now. Appreciate your time. Open to any questions, and look forward to the next release. The devs have a box session next Thursday, so I look forward to that session. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully with that will be another medium and a release, so we can start selling some of these items. It's going to be a next frontier in the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes to look at this. Sorry if it was a little longer than what you anticipated, but I wanted to kind of go through that at a more of an intermediate level. Thanks so much. Take care.